What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back at you with, well, a Danmachi review. We reviewed the last tale. Actually, we only reviewed part 1. I never got around to doing part 2, unfortunately. And I really kind of think you guys really seem to enjoy this. If you are enjoying the tale reviews, let me know in the comments section down below. Hit that little thumbs up button as well. And, well, let's just get into it, because we watched this last night on stream, and I gotta say, a lot of, for me, I'm a very busy person. I'm working on launching a second YouTube channel, finally, for the first time in like a year. I'm finally getting back around to it. So a lot of times, it's really hard for me to get around to doing these tales, to actually watch them all the way through and all that stuff. So, to watch it on stream, I often kind of thought that wasn't going to be a very entertaining way to do it, but actually I think that's the way we're going to do it going forward if you guys are enjoying that. And also, do let me know in the comment section, those of you that were there for the stream, if that's what you're enjoying, because I really do think I enjoy that a lot, because you get my fresh responses to it, and we do have a lot of fun. So without rambling too much, I suppose that what I'm trying to say is, I really did enjoy it, and I would like to know if you guys would enjoy it so we can kind of continue that going forward. But, more to the point, I want to kind of give my little review of this, because this was really interesting. Because, like I said, I believe this was the drama CD that came with Novel 13 in Japan. I don't believe we actually got that in the States. Maybe we did. I wasn't collecting the light novels at the time. So, wouldn't have been on my radar, unfortunately. But it was quite enjoyable and very, very, very funny. If you're into the comedic aspect of this franchise, which I don't know how you couldn't be, like this franchise, yes, when it is on action-wise and drama-wise, it is definitely on. But let's face it, there are some very comedic sections of this, especially early on in the franchise, that really set, even the start of every major story arc begins with a really comedic portion to kind of draw you in. Like, the storytelling in that regard, the writing is just phenomenal in that it doesn't take you out of the action when it is funny, and it's basically, it knows, Omori knows exactly when to interject comedy and when to keep it as serious as it needs to be. It's like the pacing of the story is always exceptional. So in this situation, we're talking about something that really doesn't have any overarching implications for the rest of the franchise. This is kind of a standalone story, like some of the other stories we've gotten in the game. That said, it's still very true to the franchise. It did use a lot of comedy to bring you in, and it was mostly comedic. There wasn't a huge amount of action or tension or anything like that. When it was there, but we'll get to that. So I think overall, and I'm going to go ahead and start a new scoring list here. For the new scoring list overall, I'm going to say for the overall enjoyment of this, I'm going to give it a solid 9. I really loved this story. It was fresh, it was unique, it was funny, it didn't have a lot of action, but that wasn't the goal of it. There was some tension, and I do feel like the way it was done well. But all in all, I'm going to give it a solid 9 for enjoyment. Maybe I'm being a little lenient on it because we did watch it on stream and we did have such a fun time doing it. But I'm going to be honest, I loved this story. I really did. There have been stories where I've kind of been, a little critical of them in the past, but this story was phenomenal, especially considering, you're taking every character pretty much out of their element. If you're not familiar, basically, and I'm not going to get into too many spoilers here because I want you to go watch it for yourself if you haven't, but basically what Hermes does is he creates the dungeon house. Basically, it's a place that, the gods of Varario can go to kind of, more kind of like an escape room, so to speak, but not, I guess you could kind of call it an escape room, so to speak, because you're in there, it works like a game, but the gods can come, be adventurers for once, because they're not allowed in the dungeon, though we see them go into the dungeon fairly often, but that's neither here nor there. So it's a really interesting story, and really funny. first of all, can I just say that after, like, the last round of stories, why do people still trust Hermes? Like, why are we still trusting him? We know what this dude's about. Like, not that Hermes is a bad dude, but he's just very, like, what's good for Hermes is good for Hermes, and he's going to do it. Like, he's not a villain. He's definitely not a good guy. He's just, like, very neutral and just about whatever he's about in the moment. So, like, why are they trusting him? So, in that regard, I'm just going to say I did enjoy it quite a bit. Now, comedy, because this was predominantly a comedic story, and the comedy was really good. I will say it did get a tiny bit repetitive. The main comedy of this, basically it runs like a gacha game. If you haven't watched it yet, not too many spoilers, but repeatedly, and I do mean repeatedly, Hermes is hitting them up for more and more and more Valis. It's hilarious. They'll get into a situation, they'll be like, oh, you want help? That's going to cost you. You want this? That's going to... And to be in a gacha game, and for them literally to be making fun of gacha games, is hilarious to me. Especially considering I, like, really feel like this is an insanely free-to-play gacha game. I always tell you guys how free-to-play it is, and I always work with your free-to-play players and try to, like, help you guys build teams. I know I do whale from time to time, but at the end of the day, I feel like you can get a whole lot out of this game being free to play. And for it to, like, literally be lampooning those gacha games that are, like, super, super predatory, I think that's hilarious, especially considering I play one of those games. I think that's super hilarious, super funny. I thought the comedy was spot on. But now I feel like we have to talk about the action. There was a little bit of action here. It wasn't, super on all the time. And there even was, like, a lot of comedic points in the action, especially when they're interacting with Eyes the first time and the way they finally beat the Demon King. Spoilers, but whatever. Yeah, it's gonna happen. But when the action was there, it was good. It's hard to compare a story like this to something like The Anniversary from last year because you just kind of can't. So with action, I'm going to give it a 5, but you have to kind of remember this isn't really an action story. Like, it's not really fair to gauge it in that regard. So when I do my overall assessment, I'm going to literally take these stories that, like, these portions of the story that, like, don't, not really necessary, so to speak, but I am definitely going to kind of double the score. So, like, I'm going to give the action a 5, but that's not going to have huge implications on the overall score here in a moment, as you'll see. So action, 5, could be better. I don't think it was necessary to the story, but I did think it could use a little bit more something when they did get into the battle. Though, to be fair, the battles were predominantly comedically based, and the comedy there, once again, hit on all marks. Like I said, going back to comedy, I did give it a little bit of I did knock it down 2 points because it did get repetitive, but at the same rate, I laughed every single time. Every single time. There was, like, one tense, like, honestly, truly tense moment in this. The rest of, like, the fights, they were predictable. Like, if you know the units from the gacha, you know all that, you knew exactly where everybody was going. Everything made tons of sense. There wasn't a huge amount of tension. That said, there was one part where a monster shows up. I'm not going to say how it's resolved. I'm not going to spoil it. But when that moment happened, I'm going to be honest. I went, Hermes, what the hell are you doing? Because, he has a history of doing weird stuff. So it's like, there was a big question. The only downside is it was resolved, like, really quickly, which it had to be for the story. But... And it was kind of done in a funny way once again. It was, like I said, it's a very comedic story. But tension, I'm going to give it a 6. When it was there, it was a little tense. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was like, where are we going with this? But, once again, it was resolved extremely quickly. I almost feel like they could have drugged that out a little bit further. But, considering the format, I don't know if it really... is there, but it was a fairly tense moment, and I'm going to actually count that. That is going to affect the overall score, to be fair, because they did try to build tension, and I feel like it was resolved a little too quickly. Now, implications to the franchise. This literally means, like, overall, like, how will this impact the Danmachi story going forward? It's not going to. It's literally a side story. It has nothing to do with the light novels. It has nothing to do with the anime, the manga. It has nothing to do with anything. Literally, this is just a stand-alone story. And in that regards, I feel like I'm going to give this a 3. Now, it's really difficult to judge this in that regard because it's not designed to be something impactful, and the way it used the characters, the way it used everything, was very true to form. That said, number one, why are they still trusting Hermes? I couldn't pull myself away from that. I know, like, long time, like, he's been a trustworthy ally, but it kind of brought me out of that a little bit. It was funny, but it did bring me out of that a little bit. So I'm going to say overall implications of the franchise. It didn't change anything. It used the units fairly... Because you got to remember, this happened basically during... Yeah, like, it's a drama CD for Light Novel 13. So I'm going to, like, gauge it like it goes between Book 12 and Book 13. So for me, that really doesn't make a huge amount of sense. I know, like, they kind of sort of tried to exonerate Hermes at the end of the last story, but for my recollection and for where I'm at in the story, it didn't make a huge amount of sense. So I'm going to give it an overall 3. But once again, it's not designed to do that. So mathematically, I'm going to add this up in this way. Okay? Enjoyment factor, 9. Loved it. Couldn't get enough of it. I wish it was a little bit longer. If you are going through the story, in that regard, it's very quick, very easy to watch. It takes no time whatsoever, really. I think we got through it last night in, like an hour? So if you watch a little bit, I mean, trust me, the story's going to suck you in. You're going to enjoy it. So I really feel like the story itself was nice, compact, enjoyed it overall. It didn't feel like it dragged in any situation. In fact, if anything, like, resolved things a little too quickly at times. So enjoyment overall, 9. Loved it. Comedy, I'm going to give it an 8. The comedy was great. Action, I'm going to give it a 5. But because the action wasn't the point of the story, I'm going to go kind of give it, like, half credit on that. While it's a 5, I'm not going to have that, like, affect the overall score, but I do have to add it into the score. It is going to somewhat affect the score. Tension is a 6. Now, they did try to build tension at times, and I do feel like the tension really wasn't there for the most part. There was one moment, but overall the tension wasn't enormous. So for me, I'm going to give that a 6. That will affect the overall score. Now, implications of the franchise, I gave that a 3, but once again, it's not designed to be that, so I'm not going to have that overall affect the score. And once you add all this up, it comes out to be a 7.8, so I'm going to give this a solid 8. I'm going to give this an overall 8. I loved the story. I loved the comedy. It needed to be what it was. It didn't need to be anything more. It's not going to affect us going down the road, for better or worse, and it doesn't honestly need to. But it really finally gave us, like, an adventurer Hestia, which, like, we never would otherwise get. There's no reason for them to give us an adventurer Hestia. I know she did go into the dungeon once, but that was kind of about it. Like, we never got an adventurer Hestia from that. So for the implications of the game, I think it was great. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Let me know what you guys would rank it down below. Did you like the new ranking scale? I'm going to try to use this going forward so that in the new tales, the next tales, and everything we watch, maybe we'll go back and rate some old tales. Let me know if you'd like to see that too, because I would really enjoy that. There are some tales I would like to go rewatch and maybe, like, rank in this way again. So I think this is going to be our new story ranking going forward. Might update it a little bit as we go along. This is really like a first revision. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments section. Let me know what you guys thought of the video. Let me know what you guys thought of the ranking. Definitely, your feedback is going to help us build this portion of the channel. Like, comment, and share. We'll be back at you guys with more Danmachi. We got the OVA review coming up too. That's going to be a lot of fun.